In this video, we're going to go over the top sites that you have to see when you come to Israel. And I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts, so watch to the very end, and I'll include some safety information that you do want to be aware of, especially when you get to Jerusalem.
Jews and Christians, Jerusalem is central to our faith.
So when someone asks me what my favorite site or what my highlight for the trip of Israel has been, I cannot just give them one place. I'm serious. When you go to site after site after site and you're here for day after day, all these sites just become so real to you. And then you read in the New Testament or in the Old Testament and you come across these sites, it really is life-changing. It's hard to describe what it means to have your feet on the ground in these cities and to contemplate what happened here thousands of years ago and the ongoing history, and then also the upcoming prophetic events that are right around the corner. There's nothing like it. So for one, you have to come to Israel, okay? And then when you get here, I'm going to give you some of my favorite places that you have to see. And my first one is Shaaraim. This is a place that's right by the Yalla Valley. So we're very familiar with the story of David and Goliath, the account where God used a young man to defeat the Philistine warrior and give the glory to God for that entire event. But where the Philistines fled is a place called Shaaraim, it means two gates. And when you get up to this site, it is incredible. It's breathtaking. You can not only see the Yalla Valley down below, but you can also walk around the entire, it's almost like a circular path around, and you can come to the first gate and then walk around to the second gate. And the views that you get there are indescribable. They're beautiful. You see the entire valley, you see the road beneath, you get a whole idea of the topography of the land. So you have to go see Shaaraim, which is where the Philistines fled after David killed Goliath. Another thing I would recommend is that you stop at Beersheba. When we were going south to the Negev, we just drove by Beersheba, and I would have loved to have stopped there. So that's on my list of places to see next time. But a lot happened there. Just search the word Beersheba in your Bible app or online, and you will see all the events that happened in biblical history at that site. So definitely stop there. I can't really tell you much about it because I only saw it from the road, but it looks like a great place to go exploring and to try to find some of those biblical sites at. Obviously go with a Jewish guide. That is indispensable. You cannot get around traveling through Israel with a Jewish guide. You have to have a Jewish guide. Number one, because they just know the land so well. They love this land, like more than Christians do almost, because it's just built into them. It's just part of their DNA and who they are, and they know so much about the land. They've been all over the land. They've gone through, guides, courses, and things like that. They know the history, both ancient and modern history. They can tell you things that are going on today and how the land is affected by the geopolitical landscape. So you have to have a Jewish guide, but make sure they take you to Beersheba if that's on the itinerary. Another place is hike up to Masada, and this is another place I did not get to go. We just saw it from the road just because there was just too many places to go on this tour. And you never get to spend as much time as you want to at any one site. I guarantee you.
Good morning, my people. Good morning, and a good week. This is our Monday. It's the first day of the week. On our left is Masada. Herod built it as a refuge to hold out against his enemies if and when they ever came after him. Herod never needed it to hold out against his enemies, and of course 70 years after his death it would become the scene of a most dramatic event when about 960 Jewish men, women, and children decided to take their own lives rather than being captured and taken alive as slaves by Rome.
So make sure you stop at Masada. You can hike up there. I mean, you can go exploring up there, literally exploring. There's a loop that goes around it. Make sure you pack plenty of water. Anytime you go hiking in Israel, you want to have water because it does get hot even in February. And you want to make sure that you're prepared for the hike, but make sure you hike up there where the Jews made their final stand against the Romans. That's a must see. It's breathtaking, even from the road. Another place, one of my favorite places of the entire trip, was Megiddo. And everything that they've done there, I'm talking about the visitor shop, even the restaurant, the museum on site. Right when you get up to the parking lot, you can walk in and they have presentations. They have a model that they put a presentation from like projectors that shines on the city.
Early Bronze Age. This period of time saw the first wave of city-state formation. The strong Kishon stream serves as the main water source next to the plentiful fields of the Jezreel Valley. It is in this period that the walls and gate are built, public buildings and temples, where the fires for sacrifices were burned.
Just kind of ignore the Bronze Age and Stone Age and all that stuff. If you get your biblical chronology from the Bible, then you can kind of see through all that. But that model is so well done. Then you can walk into another movie theater over to the left side, and you can watch an entire presentation of Megiddo.
תל מגידו.
עוד שרידים של 30 ערים שנבנו זו על גבי זו במשך כ-3,000 שנה.
Incredibly well done presentations. And then to go out on the site, I mean, you could spend a day just at that one site. You can see the Jezreel Valley. You can go around and see all the ruins up on Megiddo. You can see a trough which held an ephah of grain, which would be basically the manger. It's from a different time period, but that gives you an idea of basically what a manger would have looked like that Christ would have been laid in when he was born. You cannot miss that site. You have to go to Megiddo. And actually, I was able to record a gospel presentation at that site. But I think of this place here because this represents where humankind is going to gather in rebellion against God. And Jesus, when he was on earth, he said that he was going to send his spirit to proclaim 3 different things. He's going to reprove the world of sin, and of righteousness, and of judgment. So you can check that out as well. But you have to go see that site. Oh man, another one is the view from Mount Carmel. Okay, so if you go up to Mount Carmel, then you go up to this building. I think it's like a Catholic church or something. I don't know. But you basically can climb up on the roof. And the cool thing is you can see all the sights from around the area. And at the bottom of the rail, okay, so you have like a rail, and then they have this ledge going around the bottom where they have signs with arrows that point, and they tell you what cities and what direction they are. So if you don't necessarily know what you're looking at, or if you're not going with a guide, you can go up to that lookout area and get really a bird's eye view, a panoramic view of the entire area around northern Israel. And then if you step back from the rail, you can look and see the directions of Haifa and of Nazareth and of all the cities that are around the northern area, just all the way around. So make sure you go see that. Another one that's not really well known, it's called the Nukib Overlook. We actually stopped here because this is where I believe that the pigs ran down the cliff, basically the steep part of the mountain, into the sea. Okay, so traditionally that's a little bit farther north at around Kursi area, but there's not really any mountains that seem to fit that description because there's a steep part, but then there's a plain, a long plain that goes all the way down to the Sea of Galilee. So the more realistic place, the place that it's probably most likely actually occurred at, is called the Nukib Overlook. So don't miss that spot as you're driving around the eastern side of the Sea of Galilee. You want to look for that Nukib Overlook. There's also a sign there that says Golan Heights, I believe, either Golan or Golan Heights, but that's probably where the pigs ran to their death. As you can see, there's a lot of places that you have to see. I recommend all these places. Another one is Nazareth. Man, they have an entire recreated village where the ancient city of Nazareth actually was. Okay, so you can go around and see recreated basically scenes of what it would have looked like at the time of Christ. And all the while, you're seeing these modern skyscrapers and city buildings around you. It's really incredible to just let that sink in. Then you can go to the top of Nazareth at the brow, and you can see the cliff where the people of that city wanted to throw Christ off after he taught in their synagogue.
Matanda pang inalalayan eh. Matanda ang inalalayan.
That's a life-changing experience. So you have to go see the brow of the cliff and the replica of their Nazareth village where Christ grew up. And there's also good shops there too with reasonable prices. So if you want to buy some souvenirs, I would support that place. Then there's the Jesus Trail from Arbel to Nazareth, which is literally where Christ would have walked during his ministry. And you can see the towering Mount Arbel on one side. There's a little city back behind. It's kind of a quieter area, but that trail, I think it's like maybe 20 or 30 miles or something. I think it's probably pretty long. But if you get a walk on that trail, very, very serene and very surreal just to think that Christ walked on that trail. Then there's the Garden Tomb. So once you get to Jerusalem, the Garden Tomb is like 10 minutes away from our hotel. So I recommend going there, not because that's the site that Christ died on the cross and was buried. It's most likely not. Okay, that is been preserved and enshrined in the Tomb of the Holy Sepulchre. And so that's basically, it's because of Constantine and because of the history of that place and the Muslims and all the times that it's changed hands. You can't see, you can go visit that site, but it looks nothing like it would have looked back then. So if you want to get a mental picture or an idea of what the Garden Tomb probably looked like and what the hill that Christ died on probably looked like, I would go visit the Garden Tomb site, okay, just to get a mental picture, just to think about where Christ died and the tomb being close by. It's almost like a snapshot of what it would have looked like back then, but it's not on the accurate site. So I recommend going there. And then Hezekiah's tunnel, I've mentioned that in some of the other videos. The water gets very deep. It comes up to like your pockets. Comes up on your thighs pretty high, especially in the winter. I think it's higher. So I recommend going there because that is an archaeological feat. And being in that tunnel is pretty indescribable. It's very cool. The water is cold, but then the more people that are in the tunnel, it's actually kind of hot. And sometimes you really do have to kind of crouch down, and then sometimes the ceiling is way high above you. But that is an experience that I am glad I got to have, and I would have really regretted not going into the wet side of Hezekiah's tunnel. So definitely do that as well. And then one more recommendation is that you could go visit St. Anne's Church in Jerusalem, and that's a good place that I've heard of for singing. If you want to get good acoustics and you want to sing maybe a song like Jesus Saves or Jesus Paid It All or something with a true biblical message of salvation, that's a place you can visit. Now let me give you some places to not go, okay? So I've given you a lot of recommendations where to go. Here's some places not to go. First off, never go anywhere without your tour guide, okay? Just don't, okay? Don't wander away from the group. You need to stay together with your tour guide. So when we went to the Mount of Olives, I actually got ruffled a little bit by one of the Arab guards that was there because I was taking a video, which I didn't realize, but you're not allowed to take a video in that area. Pictures are fine, and when I heard pictures were fine, I assumed a video was fine, and most people take videos and pictures on their phone. You know, you see people walking around like this all the time, taking pictures and videos. But the guard did not like that I was taking videos, so he gave us a really hard time, tried to drag me off somewhere. And anyways, that was a bit of an incident, but our tour guide really took up for us. And I would not go somewhere without an Israeli tour guide, especially for your first time in Israel. It's really, you need to have it because they can speak the language, they know their way around, they're pretty rough with people that give their people a hard time, and they will stick up for you. So don't go anywhere without your tour guide. Be very careful near Palestinian-controlled territories. such as when we went to Jericho. Jericho is technically not in Israel, it's in the Palestinian controlled area. It's also not considered to be in Jordan. So it's that Palestinian, it's the Western Bank kind of area. So when we went there, our tour guide, who's Jewish, he actually had a license to go into that area. So he was fine, but I would not have wanted to go there without him. So make sure you're very careful around Palestinian territories. We actually canceled our visit to Shiloh and Mount Gerizim. We were planning on going there a couple days ago, but we canceled it because tensions there were a little rough. And actually the day we were scheduled to go there, I believe there was a shooting there, something of that nature. And a week after we were in Ashkelon, which was one of the first places we were at, some rockets were launched at Ashkelon from Gaza. And it's not really exciting. It's actually, there is real danger here. So you do want to be aware anytime you're around Palestinian territories, so Jericho, Shiloh, Mount Gerizim, the biblical Shechem, okay, just be really careful around those areas because violence is a real part of Jewish life. And when you come here, you'll kind of see that. You'll kind of get a glimpse of that. In Jerusalem, okay, when you get to Jerusalem, do not go to the Damascus Gate at night or without a group or for very long. Okay, so basically it's best to just try to avoid the Damascus Gate. Okay, that's where a lot of violence happens. There was a stabbing possibly the day that we were here. I'm not sure exactly the day, but violent things do happen around the Damascus Gate, around the Muslim quarter sometimes, especially for visitors and for Jews. Basically the eastern side, if you're looking at a map of Jerusalem, so when you come here, you do want to get a good map of Jerusalem. Sometimes the hotel provides a map. But when you're looking at a map of the city of Jerusalem, anything on the eastern side is going to be a little bit more dangerous. Okay, so you probably want to stay on the western side. You want to stay towards the Christian quarter, the Armenian quarter, the Jewish quarter, because the eastern side can be a little bit tense at times. Okay, so just be very careful. Also on that eastern side, the Arab communities in Jerusalem, you want to be very careful around that area. I mean, people get rocks thrown at them, and there can be some tense situations. So one thing I would recommend is to check the top places not to go in Israel before you come, okay? And then don't go there. Especially you want to be careful in Jerusalem, okay? Because this is a place that is very fragile and can erupt very quickly, okay? So be very careful. I wanted to finish off this video giving you some ideas for leaders of this trip, okay? So if you're leading a trip, some things to think about. Think about the timing of the location. So when they open, how crowded they're going to be, so you know if you need to get there early in the morning or if you can go there in the afternoon. Plan good hotels that provide breakfast and supper, okay? And try to find hotels that are close to major attractions, especially like the seas. So find one that's close to the Mediterranean Sea, close to the Red Sea, the Dead Sea, the Sea of Galilee, like within walking distance. So that's really nice that people can just go down and check out those areas and visit them while they're at the hotel. Also have an Israeli tour guide, not only for the logistics, but also for the history of the land, their culture, and most importantly for protection. Okay, and as a leader, you and your Israeli counterpart need to really stay up to speed on events that are happening in the country of Israel and in the areas that you're going to be visiting. So keep a close watch on events that are unfolding in surrounding nations and in the nation of Israel the whole time you're there. For example, when we went up on the Temple Mount, we saw what looked like smoke off in the distance, and our tour guide was very aware of that. He reminded us to just, notice if we smelled any tear gas or if we saw any smoke or heard gunshots, anything like that. You want to be very careful. Also, give free time at the sites. I really appreciated that. Our guides did a great job of teaching us, showing us what was important at the sites so we knew what we're looking at, and then setting us free to go explore the site for a few minutes until we met back on the bus. So give free time at the sites after pointing out the main things at that site. That's really valuable time for the people on your tour. Also, allow time to shop. Okay, because many people want to bring back souvenirs, and some of the great places to do that would be like the Nazareth village, the store at Megiddo, the Garden Tomb shop, and some of the Jerusalem shops, and the markets and things like that. Depending on what quarter of Jerusalem you're in, be aware of safety, but those are some great opportunities to shop, and let them go looking for souvenirs, let them find good prices and bring those back. Kind of tell them what is a good price, what isn't a good price. Teach them, when they should just accept the set price and when they can kind of do some dealing, or something like that. Also, provide your members with all the information that they need, such as money information, flight information, what to expect each day for weather and activities, and safety. Okay, so keep all those things in mind, and I hope that's a help to you. Make sure you're able to visit some of those top sites while you're here in Israel. Thanks for watching.